You are tuned in to What Up Baltimore online radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this channel are of the host and not of LadyJMedia. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, What Up Baltimore TV. And if you really don't want to miss any of the shows, hit that notification bell and you'll get a message every time we come on. Now, we got it from here, so sit back, relax, and stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of What Up Baltimore. This is actually a special edition, and it's special because today we're going to be talking about organ donation. Now, I am happy to have so many faces on the screen today because, as I was telling them before we got started, I don't know a lot about organ donation. Thank God I've never had to deal with anything like that. But all of the people on the screen are well versed and have, it has affected them in some way. So I've invited Pastor Shannon Wright to come on because her husband is currently in need of a kidney. And so I wanted her to come on and I want her to kind of, host this show because I want her to be able to, kind of bring everything to light. And I think you all can get the conversation going better than me. So we want to thank all of you. I thank all of you for coming on to What Up Baltimore. Again, Jamie, thank you so much for, getting everybody together and getting them on for us today. So do me a favor, everyone. If you're watching, make sure you share the video. Make sure you let someone know that we're on, especially if they're in need of an organ. And also, organ, liver, tissue transplant. The other thing is that I want you to get, I want us all to be more aware of this whole thing about donating because in the African American community, there's a lot said and a lot of reasons why people decide that they don't want to donate. So we want to talk about that, and we just want to bring awareness to all of this. And so, Pastor Shannon, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Everybody, I'm going to put the number on the screen in case you have any questions. Feel free to call in and ask any questions or comment, or you might, want to add something to the conversation. So I'm going to put that up on the screen.
So everybody on here is in a different stage and place in this journey. But what I'd like to know from all of you, this is how I'd like to start. If there is one thing, considering where you are now, if there was one thing you knew before, what would you tell people that are listening and watching now? Who would like to jump in and start? Okay, don't everybody just volunteer at once and don't be shy. So, Jamie, let's start with you.
I would say,
I'm just going to dive right in.
Sure. Sure. Regarding the whole process,
Amy, we're having some
well, I'm going to say one thing before I even had to have a transplant. I did transplant.
Yeah, she might have to go out and come back in because her internet is
Let's see if I can refresh this. You can hear me now?
Yeah, can you go out and come back in, Jamie, because you're going in and out.
Yeah.
All right, Pastor Shannon, go right ahead.
So while we get that situated, who's next? Somebody jump in and tell us where because of where you are now, what you wish you had known and why. Okay, so I'll start. with regards to my husband's current medical conditions, he has high blood pressure and diabetes. And we did not realize that those were two significant factors that can lead towards kidney disease. And without proper monitoring, can you lead you to a place of dialysis and in need of a transplant? That's not something we knew. We knew that things happen with kidneys and you need dialysis and then sometimes a transplant. I'd seen that with other family members, but we thought we were doing everything correctly and realized we weren't. So if I had one piece of advice I would give to folks, there's a time cycle and a schedule of screenings for a purpose. Keep up with your health appointments, keep up with your high blood pressure appointments and medication, your diabetes, try and eat right and exercise, and prevent is always better than cure.
Wow. Okay, let me read this comment. Wow. Everybody listen to this comment. This is from Lucky Gonzalez. It says, I donated my kidney transplant to a loved one. I donated eggs to help a mother. Wow. I believe in living legacy and anatomy, board and adding organs to my license. I believe we need to save lives to continue community healing. And then also, she says, I wish education was given to us both and continue in post transplant status. That is absolutely amazing. I want to give her a hand for, doing all of that. That is so awesome. And listen, if you would like to come on the show for a few minutes and share with us, please send me your email. You can text your email to the number that's on the screen, 443-297-4753, and come on the screen and tell us more about that. That is absolutely amazing. And that's what we're talking about tonight.
So, Jamie, I see you back with us.
Yep.
We are
Can you hear me?
waiting anxiously to hear. Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Great. That's much better. I was going to say, what I don't think people realize is that, so before I even required a transplant, I didn't know a single person. I have a pretty large network just from bartending for so many years. But afterward, I was amazed to find out that I knew a lot of people that were either in the process, pre-process, and after the process. So it was quite surprising. And then as I spoke, even afterward, I mean, I would run into the people in the Uber driver, for example, or just in the grocery store and a CVS. So I would like to see just us talk more openly about the entire process in general, because you won't be, your next door neighbor could be, for example, waiting on a kidney, and you may not even know that.
Right.
That's an excellent point. There is, as we've been going through this process, we find more people that are in different phases of in stages of kidney failure and moving through the process of getting a transplant. And there's really does seem to be a big stigma around it. Like it's something that people kind of want to keep to themselves. And, there's a phrase that we hear a lot, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So, Amy, you are absolutely correct. The more we share, the more we talk to other folks, the more our story could help someone else, and they may be in a position to help us as well. So thank you for that. Who'd like to jump in next?
Well, I'm the mother of a son who donated his organs, and I never really thought anything more than that. Just that is what you do, is that, when you donate organs, when you've passed. And my son, felt the same way. And when he passed, he was able to donate his heart, his liver, his kidneys, and some skin. So
Wow.
I keep wanting, in a way, it keeps his spirit alive with me, knowing that his organs are somewhere else. and and I keep wanting to bring that awareness to people, as far as, becoming an organ donor if they're not already registered.
Okay.
I was going to ask her a question because when you said that your son donated, I was just about to ask you, how do you feel knowing that, all of this stuff has been donated from him? And like, do you feel happy all the time? Do you feel any sadness or?
I feel happy.
Wow.
I still have grief, missing my son, but I have so much happiness, and that other people are, that have survived. And the one young man who got my son's liver is now a father.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to see
Are
a
you-
picture?
So you've been able to see the people who he was able to donate to?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
just the person that had his liver.
Okay.
This is a picture of him coming out of John Hopkins,
Oh,
Wow.
and this is him with his baby.
oh,
Wow. Okay. So that brings up an interesting
Yes,
perspective.
it
So
made it very worthwhile to be able to meet him.
that's awesome. Um, you said it didn't erase the grief. You still have grief, but
Right.
it gives you a little bit of light, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I got to meet him. I got to hold the baby. You know,
oh, wow.
we
Okay.
stay in contact with each other.
Did you
Wow.
tell the story about the baby shower
Oh
or the
no.
gender reveal party? Sorry.
Yeah, they had the what is it? I always
Is
forget
it
the gender
gender
reveal
reveal?
party.
Mhm.
And I hadn't met his name's Kobe, and I hadn't met him yet. And when I got invited, I was very excited because this would be the first time that I was going to meet him. And my daughters were a little nervous because they thought, this is all about Kobe. It's all about the mother of the baby too. Hannah's gonna, she's pregnant. They're gonna reveal the gender, and they didn't want me to be upset because it's not going to be about me. It's going to be about them and the baby. And I said, that's fine. So I get there, and Kobe's just such a wonderful young man and very well spoken. And basically, he made it about me and my son and giving him life so that, he could then, of course, be a father. And it was very, very special.
Wow.
That's
That
awesome.
is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
So in other words, what I'm hearing so far, and what I need to hear and hold on to personally, is that this is definitely a life altering situation, but that there are moments and ways and spaces for joy and happiness even during the process, from multiple perspectives.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. So, for folks, if you're listening and watching and you know of someone that is um, in anywhere in this process of needing a transplant, of looking for an organ donor, um, don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. You know, there's always the story of someone that had a situation worse than what you may be going through, that came through, and let that kind of be a guide and a beacon. You know, for me, I try to say, okay, God, what am I going to do today to make more lemonade out of these lemons? Because there's a purpose, there's a reason. I just personally, I have to believe that. But each of you has to find your own way through. What is it that works for you to make it easier to get out of bed every day and keep putting one foot in front of the other?
I was hoping that we could actually ask Sam a little bit more about his story since he's the recipient of a heart.
Well, please jump on
Yeah.
in.
Hi.
Trying to unmute here.
We can hear you, Sam.
You can hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, it shows muted here. Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to say, I think the original question was if you knew something now that you didn't know before.
Hmm.
And so about transplant, I would have hoped there would have been more education of what happens after you get the transplant. Because
Okay.
there's different types of transplants, right? And sometimes people need it urgently, and you have like a day. You might die tomorrow, so you need a transplant,
Mhm.
or you might be sick for many years, and then you eventually need a transplant. Or as a child, you may have had problems, and then 25 years later, you might need a transplant. So, but they don't really tell you what would happen after so much. They prepare you. They'll prepare you like what are you going to do to get into the surgery, but they don't really talk too much about what's required after, because after is really the hard part too. I mean, it is a life altering surgery. It's a life-saving or life-altering surgery. Life's never going to be the same, right? But you don't really hear that in detail. And the biggest mistake people make is you think it's a fix. It's not, right? Transplant is a treatment. So no matter what organ, it's still a treatment. So I keep hearing some people saying, "Oh yeah, now I can do this, now I can do that." Maybe not, or it might take a long time till you can do that, because transplant is not just a fix. You get medicine from a doctor and you're good to go, or your hand is broken, you get a cast and you're good to go. So I would just hope that there'd be more education around that and awareness, so that otherwise people get freaked out too, because they're like, why is it taking so long, or why am I not being able to do stuff that I was able to do before? But it'll happen, but it'll take some time. So those are my thoughts on that. And the rest of that is, I am a heart recipient, like Jamie was saying, and I celebrated 8 years actually the other day, last week. So I'm completely blessed and grateful. And Maria, thank you so much. I mean, any donor family is like mine, because I haven't met my donor family. So I want to thank you, for going along with what your son's wishes were.
Hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazing how any organ, doesn't matter, living donor, deceased donor, all donors are heroes. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Can I say something about my son? The
Sure.
other thing is, my son had type 1 diabetes, and it was considered brittle diabetes because he was in the hospital like all the time. Even in the hospital, they had a hard time keeping it under control. He ended up having seizures for probably 15 years of his life. And in fact, that's how he passed, was not coming out of a seizure. And yet, with all that, he was still healthy enough to donate his heart, his kidneys, and his liver and some skin. So I think that's real important for people to realize that even if they might have, a serious illness like type 1 diabetes, they can still be an organ donor.
Absolutely. Can I just jump in there? I mean, that's an excellent point, because a lot of people, you'll hear them, are you an organ donor? Oh, no, I've been sick. I have
Right.
diabetes.
Right.
I have high blood pressure. But you don't know. Like Maria's son was able to donate four organs plus.
Right.
A living donation is a little more tougher for clearing the evaluation, because you do have to be really, really healthy. But other than that, I mean, anyone shouldn't exclude themselves, and you
Right.
should definitely register. And who knows whose life you can save after your time on Earth is done.
Hmm.
Now, everybody, before we go any further, let me introduce Jeanette Graham, because she's the one that put the comment up about, donating. So I want her to share a few words as well. Jeanette, can
Good
you hear
evening,
us?
everyone. Thanks, Lady J.
Hi.
It's always
Sure.
yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks for always using your platform for topics like this. It popped up on my screen, and I thought I was like this only person outside of healthcare providers that understood the importance of donations and organ donating. And um, my ex-husband, Anthony Jenkins, I donated a kidney to him in 2008.
Mhm.
He we had boys, and I felt like at the end of the day, I wanted him to be the best father he could be, and I was able to donate to him. And actually, right before that time, I had ran into a few women that were struggling having babies, and they were like, they were Hispanic descent, and I did the whole Shady Grove fertility thing with them, and just to see the babies' pictures and knowing that I was able to help both was very important to me. And I think that individuals who take the time to understand the importance of it, that no, you're not a science project. Yes, there are some people that have abused that process of, around the world, and insurance and all those things. But when it comes from the heart, God will definitely see you through different types of griefs and life events. And I would do it 10 times over again. My ex-husband lasted from 2008 to 2020. So in February 2020, he passed away And it was simply around the part of just the nutrition part of managing his organ, with kidney, just not having the right resources or follow up. And that's why I made that comment that if we were educated throughout post op to continue services, that being really important for our family. So thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
You
Can
have,
I?
I just want to say, you have a really beautiful heart.
Mhm.
And I didn't, listen, everybody, I didn't know who she was, but the ex-husband that she's talking about was my first cousin. And so I've actually met her at the funeral. But I knew about him getting the transplant and all of that. I just didn't know who the person was. And so when I found out, like, much later, it was her. And you just have such a beautiful heart. And I wanted you to tell us also, you said that you donated eggs. So what was the process that or the procedure that they had to do for you to do the egg donation?
So, the process, you had to be younger than 32. So this was, of course, years ago because I'm old now. But I had to do a psych evaluation and testing of DNA, and you're 84% Cuban, and you're all these other things, and it was like about a 4-month process. Birth control. It was anonymous at first. My first donation was anonymous. They went through medical history and testing. I had to do injection in my belly for a couple of weeks to
Wow.
prepare my body for the new mom to receive the egg. And at the day of egg retrieval, I got this huge box of chocolates and a check of money. And I'm like, what is this money for? And they said, like, this is compensation for doing this. And I was like, I was doing it just because somebody wanted to be a mommy. And so it was, I did gain about 5 to 7 pounds through that process. That wasn't fun, but women, we have that issue anyway. But
Yeah.
it was really beautiful. The second time I did, I was able to see the daughter. To me, that the daughter that she had looks like my middle son. But I
Oh,
always
wow.
said that, as long as it's a blessing to somebody else, I think, not everybody meant to be a mother, and those ones that want to be a mother and can't, I was just happy to be a part of the process.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And sorry, Pastor Shannon, I just jumped right in there.
Please, please.
Oh, but that's absolutely amazing because I know what it's like to struggle to, get pregnant, and it took me years to get pregnant. So I know what that feeling is like to want to have a child and you can't. So shout out to you for doing that. I think that is so beautiful. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And that's why we wanted to do this show as well, because talking to somebody like you, a real face that people can see that you actually donated, and you're okay. Some people think they're going to donate, they're going to die, they're going to get sick because they're giving a part of themselves. So having you on here is really a testament of it's okay. Just go get yourself checked out to see if you're a match, and that's all we're saying. Go ahead, Pastor Shannon. I'm gonna be quiet and let you
Oh,
go.
please, please. This is a difficult topic because, well, to cover in an hour because there are so many different parts and pieces.
Yeah.
Um, as a person going through this, let me ask you all this: What would, what do you need most? Obviously, other than the organ itself, what do you need? Do you need what's the, no? Let me rephrase it. For people that are new in this process, what do you find most helpful to tell people that are on this journey in terms of support that they'll need, in terms of realistic expectations for themselves, in terms of things like that? Because what I'm seeing is a lot of times when my husband and I started this process, he was diagnosed at stage 4 kidney disease. So we didn't have that period of getting used to it, wrapping our brains around it of 1, 2, and 3. So we just kind of found ourselves in a different place with no idea how we got here, where we go, or any of that. So I guess what I'm asking you is, in this time and space, what do you need? What would you tell people in terms of their own realistic expectations for this journey? The what they should be looking to do to grow their village and community and their team for support.
I'll jump in on that one. So for me, as Sam mentioned, my liver transplant was immediate. I was brought in pretty much dead, so I wasn't even awake pretty much during it. Was in a coma. However, I required a kidney afterward, so I was stage 5 and on dialysis. And for me to answer that question on that waiting period was I needed friends, faith, and success. And what I mean by that was every time I saw a success story, whether it was hearing about someone getting the kidney, seeing them walk right after. I remember being in the hospital and seeing someone who literally was walking within 24 hours in front of me when I couldn't even lift up my leg at that point. I mean, those are the things that I personally needed and that worked for me. And just to hear the faith, like it's coming, just keep doing what we tell you to do, just keep waiting. It's not that you really pray for someone to pass away, or in a sense you just pray for whatever is meant to be, and also to just know that it's all in pretty much God's hands, and it's at
Mhm.
God's time too.
Mhm.
Those words were really meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Um,
Nelson.
Yeah.
I can add a little bit to that. So positivity is the key. Um, you have to be positive yourself, and you have to surround yourself like your caregiver, your primary caregiver, and your family, whoever you're with. They all have to be positive because, especially if you're waiting a long time, you can go crazy in the head. In fact, when I was waiting, I texted my doctor, said I want to go home and die
Mm.
because I was waiting in the hospital. I had to be in the hospital for a total of 7 months. I couldn't leave. So you go through a lot mentally, other than your physical stuff, because you're super sick. You're basically in ICU setting most of the time in your hospital stay. But if you're not around positivity, and I used to go to the chaplain all the time. I used to try to visit even in a wheelchair, but I would try to make it. So you have to be positive, because and then you have to be flexible, I would say, because things change like in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
Things would change. You're going along, you're thinking, you're planning, oh, tomorrow this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Well, it may not happen.
Mhm.
So then you got to reset your expectations, and you got to be able to be flexible and be positive and talk to people who there are a lot of negative people around. Sometimes they look at how sick you are and they'll be like, oh, they feel sorry for you. And you don't really need that so much. You just need
Mhm.
really good, strong support. And by support, I mean they have to be there for you, because you pretty much can't do anything, especially just after you. I mean, you need help 24/7 for a long time, so that, and it depends on each person, depends on each organ, but you do need a lot of help. So secure that support before you go into anything like this. If you don't have it, that's why they give you they try to, unless it's an emergency situation, they really try to make sure you have that support before you go into a transplant, because otherwise it may fail, if you don't have that support. So I would say be positive and flexible and have the right support around you.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that support I'm hearing is a reoccurring theme, having that support.
Yeah,
So,
and faith too. Sorry.
okay, okay, all right.
And
Wow.
we have a comment from Milton Mitchell, said, great conversation, heart and liver recipient and liver donor domino procedure, 7/30/2014, VCUH, Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, have him call in, Lady
Yeah,
J.
have them calling.
We know Milton.
Oh, you know Milton. Okay,
Yeah.
Milton. Can you call us on the number that's on the screen, 443-297-4753? We would love to hear from you and hear your story. Sam, I was going to ask you a question. So you were talking about all of the things and that you went through. Do they offer you all, and this is for anybody really, and even for mom who had to donate her son's organs, do they offer you any type of mental health therapy as you're going through this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the requirements. So usually beforehand, they will definitely counsel you and they'll screen you, because you have to be strong enough mentally to to go through the journey.
Mhm.
But if there isn't enough time, for sure after, um, also you should, as a patient or recipient, seek it out. You know,
Mhm.
there's no shame in it. You need that, even if you need medication, and counseling together. Do it. I did it. I was on Xanax, and I wasn't afraid that I was going to get hooked on something. I just knew I needed something because I wasn't. It helps you heal. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely seek it out if it's not offered. Advocate for yourself, basically.
Mhm.
Lady J, we also have several transplant support groups on Facebook where we meet a lot of each other, and they are also down to even being individualized per organ, so you can specifically speak on any of the issues arising either pre, during, or post too. So I found those absolutely essential. About 2 months in, there was questions that by the time I left the
Yeah.
hospital, like, why is my hair falling out? What do I do? I mean, the list went on, and that, I mean, those are a godsend for me.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
currently still getting treatment, Jamie?
Well, currently I'm doing really well. So I'm almost 60 days out from the kidney
Okay.
transplant and 9 months out from the liver. I just wanted to speak really quick on kidneys so people know you only get one kidney with a kidney transplant. So you can easily be a living donor for someone else, and you're perfectly fine. So just to let you know, not only would you function well on that, we function all on one kidney as well. So and that's where it makes it very, very safe. And you'll get support too later on for the rest of your life by giving that gift so unselfishly.
Mm.
So right now I just have my meds and to keep my program from like working out and eating right and just staying very positive and helping others.
Perfect. Lady J, can
Yes.
you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear me? Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to add on, first of all, thank you for this program. And I wanted to thank Miss Maria for the organ donations that you did with, your son's organs. I can so relate because my daughter is a recipient. She actually received a kidney transplant in 2015. She was born a micropreemie. She was 12 ounces at birth. And because of the prematurity, she her kidneys never developed well, and they worked until she was 16, but then they failed and she needed that transplant, and her health improved immensely after that. I mean, I did not realize what a good functioning organ will do for a person's health until I saw it with my own eyes, and at that point my whole family signed up to be organ donors. Even my daughter, with all her medical issues, is an organ donor. The unfortunate thing is, in a few years into that, she did develop antibodies, and now she is listed again because she does need a new kidney. But we're still advocating for her, and we're still, looking for different options. And because of all this process and me becoming aware of how important organ donation is, back in 2014, I actually started one of those Facebook groups that you mentioned about for parents of children who have kidney disease and are dealing with kidney disease and needing the support, needing the input, needing each other. Mothers, it started as mothers and then developed into fathers. And it's amazing how much we all don't know until you go through it and until you educate people about it and until you kind of bring it out in the open. And like you mentioned, yes, one person, one deceased donor can save many lives, but also one person, we can live very successfully on one kidney. So there is no reason why we cannot offer another kidney. It's a gift of life for somebody. And right now, unfortunately, with my daughter, her current kidney has failed, and we're currently in the hospital right now. She's finally receiving dialysis again, but we're very optimistic because we know the process, we know how things work, we have the support, and we're just doing all we can to bring awareness and thank parents like Miss Maria and other donors who are out there giving that gift of life, because it is so important. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow.
Good luck to you and your daughter.
Thank you so much, sir. And good luck to you. That's a great story of yours. Very encouraging.
Thank you.
Yes. And we have, I want to read this comment real quick. It says, "You all are heroes. I wish that God continues to cover you with the strength and guidance." We also have Mr. Milton Mitchell on the phone. Mr. Mitchell, go ahead and tell us what you want to tell us.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing awareness to this conversation that we're having here. And it's always good to see people like Sam and Jamie and all the other guests that you have actually sharing their story and putting themselves out there. I myself walked in to just my general physical, and I was 52 years old. And I was diagnosed with hereditary amyloidosis, and I was blown away because I've always been fit, healthy, and it took a while for my doctor to convince me that something was going on. He actually, after 45 minutes or so, he said I had a amyloid in the back of my heart. He said, "You're fit and everything, something's going on." So, to make a long story short, it ended up where that led to me needing ICD put in my heart. And 2 years later, they were thinking about transplant for me, and then come to find out while they was giving me a workup, they found out that I needed a liver.
Wow.
Yes. And at that time, I was at Washington MedStar Hospital doing, what I had to do for a workup, and they only did heart. They did not do liver. So they had to call around to see if anyone would be willing to accept me, which is a part of transplant, but not everybody accepts you. So I was blessed by God that ECU accepted me. And April 20th of that year, which was Easter Sunday, I was transplanted and put on a temporary heart machine. The old heart was taken out, and I was very, I would say, sick. I had to remain healthy enough to receive the organs that the Lord would bless me with it. So from April the 20th until July 30th, it was a massive workup. It was limited rest. It was x-rays being taken every 4 hours. There was food restrictions for 16 hours a day. But the Lord blessed me going through all of that with the tubes and the IVs and the support, as your guest has spoke of, around me from family and friends and loved ones and churches, that I got the call while I was in the hospital that the gift had arrived.
Wow.
So I received that, and 7 days later, I walked out of there. And since that time, I have not returned to the hospital for anything regarding the actual gift. However, I will say, to expand on what your guest was saying, I do believe what's going on, that these conversations, particularly this time on the month of April, every year, we do need to advocate for organ donation.
Yeah.
In addition to that, decide a policy through, United Network Organ Sharing, OPTN. Those things we need to also address our concerns, how the policies and guidelines need to be increased and changed, because certain communities are neglected, certain ethnic groups and cultures are not really addressed like they should be. So that part has to be included as well.
Thank you so much. That is amazing. I'm so glad you were able to get what you needed. And how are you feeling these days?
I'm doing well. I have no complaints. I was blessed that throughout the whole COVID that I never caught the COVID.
Okay.
Yes, that was a blessing. I exercise, I eat right, and stay healthy. So my numbers are always stable. However, because of the massive workup that I had to receive during that day between, like I said, Easter, it was April 20th, 2014 until that time. My kidneys were compromised because of the massive workup that was done. But they have been stable for going on 9 years this July 30th. So I'm heavily blessed with that aspect of it. My medication is very limited, although when I left the hospital, I was taking over 117 pills.
Ooh. Did you say 172?
117 pills
What?
for 90 days.
Wow.
Yeah. I was blessed to have one donor, but see, I had multi-organs. So when you have multi-organs, you have other issues versus just having one organ.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much because you all are actually helping me to be more aware of, I know that being an organ donor is important, but just the bits and pieces of information that I'm getting, and the biggest thing that I'm hearing too is take care of your health.
Mhm.
Take care of your health. I can't stress that enough. But we only have a few minutes left, so I just want to go around and get some last minute comments from everybody before we close out. And even you, Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to come around to you. I'm going to get everybody on the screen. Then I'm going to come back around to you and get some last minute comments.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start up top. Go ahead, Mom, and tell us some last minute comments.
Okay. It's really, really sad that my son had to pass away during COVID, but it was such a blessing that with something so sad became so miraculous for other people. My son didn't die for everybody else to live, but he died and everybody else got to live.
Mm.
And I love that about his passing. The gentleman who got his kidneys is in Baltimore. He was 56 years old at the time, which was in April of 2020. So he would have gotten them probably May 1st or May 2nd. He's the one donor or the one recipient I haven't heard from. I would love to know that he's doing okay with my son's kidneys. If
Oh,
he wanted to let us know he's doing okay.
wow. We hope you're listening.
Yeah, I hope you're
Hello.
listening. I think about you all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Pastor Shannon.
Wow. I think last words for us from regarding my husband and I would be, um, you need a team. You need a team. The patient needs to have a really, truly dedicated caregiver. And they both need that support and that community. So right now, we are finishing week 4 of our home hemodialysis training. And next week, Wednesday, my husband's dialysis machine and all of the equipment necessary would be delivered and installed at our home. And I'm going to be doing his dialysis for him from home going forward. And I feel like for me, when we got married, I signed a contract for better, for worse, sickness and health and all that. So I'm in for the long haul. Um, but if you know a family that's going through, and I say it that way specifically, if you know a family that is going through, ask them if they need anything. Ask them if they just need an ear of somebody to talk to, if they need an errand run from the supermarket or the drugstore, whatever it may be. This changes your life. It does not have to end your life. And sometimes these things can happen to change the trajectory of our lives deliberately. So for my husband and I, we decided that this journey right now is not just for us to save him, but to reach others and to be able to be help and resources for others that are on this journey that may not have a team or a village.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. And we're praying for him to get his kidney also. Definitely. Go ahead, Jamie.
Um, for me, my last words are just very simple. I want to thank everyone for being here and to help spread awareness. And for anybody who's listening, I'll just do the paperwork for you all to go to www.registerme.org to sign up to be a donor if you aren't a donor as of right now. Of course, usually that question's asked when getting your license or even for getting your driver's permit. If you are signed up, please have the conversation with your family and your loved ones and your friends and let them know what your last wishes are. So you don't have to be in that situation in the hospital and at a loss when the questions arise. So just one more time, www.registerme.org.
All right. And thank you, Jamie, for setting this up also. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, and we can do this again. All right. I don't want to mess your name up in the middle. Tell us your name.
Nazra.
Najwa. I knew I was going to say it wrong. Thank you. But give us some last minute words.
Well, first of all, Lady Jane, want to thank everyone for being here, for you for holding this show. The main thing we really need, and I think, that's part of the purpose of this show, is advocate, 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 bring awareness and bring awareness. Make this a goal so people are aware. People go on their lives and they don't realize how important, how many lives you can save with one kidney. How many, if you sign up, it's just a matter of signing, check that box, organ donor. You're not going to need your organs when you're gone, and you can just bring life and quality of life and happiness. And yes, death is not easy by no means. And the family that, my hat goes out to all the families that choose to donate their loved ones' organs, because that is not an easy task by no means. But they are doing such a selfless act that they are actually providing somebody else with the gift of life. Mm-hmm. And just the support, like, the Facebook group that I started leading 8 years ago, we've grown to about 3,000 people. And it's mainly to bring awareness, especially for children that need organs. So many babies are born without kidneys. So many babies are born with kidney disease. It's important to bring all that out and have so many people know how important this is. Mm-hmm. So thank you for everybody that's advocating, and just keep going. Is all I can say.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on and sharing your story also. All right, Mr. Sam.
So I just want to thank everyone, especially you, Lady J. Thank you for having this show and to have the conversation. Jamie, thank you too. Basically, I want to say today, if you look at the people on the waiting list, there's about 106,000 people. Although 50% of them are inactive, but still 90% of that 100,000 are kidney people who need a kidney. So, even if you have everybody registered to be an organ donor, it's still not going to solve that problem.
Right.
That problem will be solved by living donors. So you need to be,
Sure.
you need to definitely spread the word, awareness, churches, community centers, everywhere. Share the story. Tell people it's not such a big deal. It is a sacrifice, but it's worth it. And also organ donation through a deceased donor, only less than 2% of people can actually end up donating. So everything conditions have to be met. You have to be in the hospital, in a ventilator, declared brain dead. All those things have to be happen, and then you have to be registered. Like Maria's son happened to be registered, so the OPO didn't have to question her or persuade her. So that, and his decision was known. So yes, organ donation definitely saves lives. And I have a little thing that says, organ donation plus transplantation equals miracles. And that's what we are, miracles. And thanks to people like Maria and her son, we are here today. So thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. And Mr. Milton, you give us the final words.
Yes, first I want to thank you as well as your panelists for putting this on. It's a discussion, a topic that we cannot share enough of. I would also like to encourage them to, as much as possible, share your story and get it out there. And this is April, and this month here I would like to give a shout out to all the donor families and for all the loved ones that's involved with transplants in the transplant community. Please, if you are not an ambassador of the United Network of Organ Sharing or Donor Life, please do so. Join organizations, support groups, speak at hospitals, speak at events, keep the word out, get the message out there, because within the next 3 to 5 years, Washington, D.C. will become the #1 rated place with the most need for kidneys. And that's right here in the DMV area. That's factually based. So if you notice right now, they're starting to get more commercials within DC on WHUR and all the other stations. But I'd like to send a special shout out to my donor, because I received one donor, and I'm alive today because of a loving gift from them. And also like send a spouting love out to the recipient who was lying right on the table while I was receiving. She was receiving a gift from me.
Oh, wow.
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 Complete thing. And thank you for allowing me to share my story. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you all, thank you so much for coming on the show, and just being so transparent, sharing your thoughts and feelings with us. And I'm pretty sure that you've helped a lot of people. And even as this continues to play throughout the week, more people will get a chance to watch it, listen to it, and you may change some minds and thoughts about, that people have about
Mhm.
donating. Thank you to Jeanette Graham who came on, and thank you for how you just gave so freely, and we appreciate that, and that's what we're talking about. So everyone, please make sure that you share this video. Make sure that you use it to empower, inspire, and educate somebody else, because this is really important, and we never know when it's going to hit our house. So we want to make sure that we learn as much as we can about it. So if God forbid it should happen, we'll know exactly what to do. So thank you so much to everyone that's been on. Please feel free. Jamie has all of my information. So please feel free if you'd like to come on again and have a discussion. The doors are open. All right. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Lady J. Stay
Hey,
tuned.
Lady J.
Yeah. Yes.
A quick last point. I have a wish. I would like it to be not just during Donate Life Month, because it should be every month. I
Yes.
mean, we have to talk about this all the time, not
Yes.
just when it's convenient in April.
Mhm.
So I would just like that to be a wish, and hopefully someday it'll come true.
Absolutely. Ask Jamie. She just reached out and I just said okay. So all you have to do is get with Jamie, and we'll get some dates together, and then we'll have the conversation again, because it's really, really important. Very
Thank
important.
you.
So, the door is always open for it. Listen, everybody, stay tuned, because the next show that's coming up, let me put Coco. Coco wants to be a part of the show, everybody. I'm trying to do the show. She's jumping on me. She's crawling on me. Oh, so anyway, it's like having a kid. But the next show that's coming up, everybody, is called Behind the Walls. And this is actually a guy who is incarcerated, and he calls in every Thursday, and we do a show. And tonight we're going to be talking about relationships. When you have a relationship with somebody that's behind the wall. So that's coming up in just a few minutes. As a matter of fact, he's calling right now. So I got to go, everybody. Have a good night. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.
Welcome.